do we need to count macronutrients on a ketogenic diet? To start with, it would be helpful. Okay, why? Well, if you go from a standard American diet to anything else, you want to know exactly where you're at, right? For example, the dietary guidelines for Americans, right? So the food pyramid, now it's the, was it My Healthy Plate or My Food Plate or some damn shit like that, right? They're recommending 45 to 65% of your nutrition from carbohydrates, 20 to 35 from fat, and 10 to 35 from protein. That is totally asinine, on its head, just incorrect. And why is that? Well, once they started the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they started subsidizing wheat and grain, what a better way to make money than to tell people you need 5 to 7 servings of grains, you need 4 to 6 servings of fruits, right? What a better way to make money than to tell us a load of shit. So if you're one of those people that you have decided you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you want to be healthier, you want to live longer, you want to get off some of the medications or potentially all the medications you're on, then welcome. Welcome to stepping out of the matrix and deciding you want to be better. But to start with, you would want to count your macronutrients if for no other purpose than to understand better what you're ingesting, right? So to start off basic, carbs, fats, proteins, those are your macronutrients, right? There are no required carbohydrates for life. You do not have to ingest carbohydrates to live. You do have to ingest fats and protein for life, right? Because fats are what transport your fat-soluble vitamins. They also can be used for energy, and contrary, fat doesn't make you fat. And then protein, right? It's muscle building, restoration, helps with organs and tissues, right? As well as hormone regulation. And so we need those. So to begin with, you'll want to take an honest look at what you're putting in your mouth. Now, for me, I've been ketogenic, low carb for almost 13 years. So I kind of got it dialed in as far as what choices I'm making and what effect they have. But if you're just starting out, then yeah, actually write down or use one of those, My Fitness Pal or whatever the other food diary apps are, right, that make it easier for us. Because let's face it, as humans, we're lazy. And a lot of us don't want to pen to paper and do the math and calculate it out. So if you have to, use one of those. So what do I recommend? Well, for me, I'm 3% carbohydrates. No, I do not believe everybody needs to be that low, but what I recommend is 15% or less carbohydrates. I recommend 40% or less protein. I find when I go over 40% protein, then I have to use the bathroom quite frequently. And then 45% or less being fats. So depending on what you do with your protein, that'll adjust your fats. Depending on what you do with your carbohydrates, that'll affect your proteins and your fats, right? It's all a ratio to get to 100. But in general, 15% or less carbs, 40% or less protein, and 45% or the remaining fats. So what does that look like? So first off, in a ketogenic diet, for the most part, you are not eating bread, rice, pasta, oatmeal, cereal, fruits, starchy veggies, beans, right? Those just are not in your wheelhouse. So what carbohydrates are you potentially eating? Well, non-starchy veggies, really. That's about what you're doing is just non-starchy veggies. And then protein, right? Well, protein's pretty simple. It's animal products for the most part, right? Sorry, I don't conform to that you can be healthy vegan. I just don't believe it. They talk about, oh, well, you can eat spinach for the iron. Yeah, you'd have to eat like 7 cups of spinach to get the same iron in a 4-ounce steak. So I don't know about you, but even when my mom was trying to force feed me spinach with a cup of water and you'll eat it till you're done or you'll puke, which I usually puked, I'm not doing 7 cups of spinach. And so, sorry, I'm just not a proponent of vegan, vegetarian is healthy. So, protein from animal products. That's the best, simplest way, right? Cow, fish, chicken, pig if you can tolerate it, right? I can only tolerate bacon bits when it comes to pig. After that, I just get sick eating pig. And I think it's more because they're not a ruminant animal. I do way better with cow because they're a ruminant animal. And then fats, right? Well, you eat a ribeye steak, you eat a 80-20 ground beef, right? I find 80-20 is the perfect ratio for protein and fats. If I do 73-27, it's too fatty. And then if it's 88-12, it's just way too lean. So those are some things that you need to take into consideration because, for example, they told us, oh, you need to eat lean protein. No, you need to eat fatty protein. Good example, there was a guy on that show Alone, right? I can't remember, he either got a caribou or a moose, and he was so excited because he's like, yes, I've got tons of meat and fat. And then I believe it was Wolverine stole his fat stores, right? Even the animals know what part of the animal you should be eating first. So he stole all his fat stores, and the guy thought, oh, I'm good. I still got all this muscle. I still got all this meat. And he damn near starved to death because you need the fat. Your brain needs the fat. Your body needs the fat. And so don't be afraid of the fat. Now, you don't want to get your fat from Oreos or Ding Dongs, Ho-Hos, or any of this bullshit chemically derived foods. You want to get your fat from cow. Right? You want to get your fat from salmon. You want to get your fat from chicken thighs, chicken drums, one single ingredient animal. You can double bang it, get your fat and protein in one shot. So decide what's going to be right for you, right? If you want to start out with a 15, 40, 45 ratio of carbs, proteins, and fats, and then kind of work it from there, that's probably one of the best things you can do is you've got to have a zero. You've got to have a starting point, and then you modify from there. So, for example, me, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever it is now, when I started to go low carb, right? I started where I was having 100 grams of carbs or less per day. And that wasn't enough. So I went to 50 grams of carbs per day or less. And then I went to 20 grams of carbs per less. And now I think the romaine lettuce I have, I think it's like 12 grams of carbs, right? So I have 12 grams of carbohydrates per day because that's what works for me. And so over the years, I've tweaked it to what I need to where now I just eat and it's not a big deal. I've got it wired. I do my meal prepping. But for you, if you're just starting out, then maybe having that 15, 40, 45 is a good starting point, right? You do that for 90 days and you have to give it 90 days. Okay, you really do. They generate or estimate that after 90 days, you have a new blood panel, right? So if you get blood work done beforehand, 90 days, you do blood work, you can see if there really is any kind of distinction, which another video I'll make is how our ranges for our blood work are a load of shit as well. So, but start there and then tweak it, right? Go, well, what if I have a little bit more fat and a little less protein? What if I drop my carbs down a little bit and I increase my fat? And work your way. Be an N=1. Find your formula. And I guarantee you, you will feel better. Okay, but one option you shouldn't give yourself is to quit. Don't give yourself that option. Don't give yourself that out. Don't allow yourself to sabotage your own success because that's what we're really good at as humans is making excuses and why we can't. So don't be that person. Okay, you've decided to step out of the matrix by deciding to go on a ketogenic way of eating. So don't stop now. You're already going. Keep going. Make the decision. You are worth it. Give it the time it needs. and you'll have success. With that, I wish you a blessed day.